Minnesota Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold had a career-defining day on Sunday, but you would have never known it. Let's talk about it. The Minnesota Vikings needed to get a win in Soldier Field in order to keep up with the Detroit Lions, who got the win in Indianapolis earlier on in the afternoon. Now, they played the games at the same time slot, but the Lions game finished first because they controlled the game against the Indianapolis Colts from start to finish. The Vikings, on the other hand, it was a tough game at Soldier Field, like all of them are. And Soldier Field games have a tendency to get weird. Just like last week when the Bears lost to the Green Bay Packers 20-19, a blocked field goal on the last play of the game ended up being the deciding factor. And we had some weirdness on Sunday. There was a blocked field goal by the Vikings. You had a muff pump by the Bears, a screwed up onside kick, which is going to get plenty of attention. But in all honesty, it was the quarterbacks that decided this football game. Caleb Williams played a good football game. He was a little inconsistent, had some extreme misses, had a couple really nice plays early on in the game, hit that deep dig route to DJ Moore, which is eerily similar to the one we saw that Justin Fields hit DJ Moore on last year to secure the 12-10 win on Monday Night Football against the Vikings in December. And lo and behold, here we are again. The Vikings in overtime needing to get a win. And you know what? They got it. Why did they get it? One reason. His name is Sam Darnold. And you would have never known that he had played a great game. Why? All the broadcasters could do was glaze over Caleb Williams. Every little thing he was doing, every throw, making up excuses in the book for why he was doing some of these things. And justifying when he made good plays and bad. Sam Darnold, not a peep. Why? It's just a level of disrespect for him. He is not the same quarterback he was in New York. He is not the same quarterback he was in Carolina. And guess what? He is proving it in droves. Last week, phenomenal against the Tennessee Titans. Didn't put the ball in harm's way one time. Against the Bears, same thing. He didn't have Justin Jefferson with great stats. Jefferson only caught 2 passes for 27 yards. But you know what he did? He adapted. He adjusted. And he made throws to guys who were open. Pair that with Kevin O'Connell's elite play calling, and oh my goodness, do you have a recipe for success? Game. Darnold, 22 of 34, 330 yards, a 9.7 yard average, 2 touchdowns, and sacked 3 times for 16 yards. A rating of 116.1. But most importantly, 2 big time throws for PFF, 0 turnover worthy plays. A truly impressive performance from Darnold. But you know what all we're going to hear about? We're going to hear about, oh, Caleb Williams is so good. He's the future. He's all this. Bull. It's time to end it. You know why? Caleb Williams was fine. But he also threw the ball 47 times. Relatively easy to throw for over 300 yards when you throw it 47 times. But you know what? It was Darnold's poise. It was Darnold's navigation of the pocket. It was Darnold's decision making. It was Darnold finding the right player at the right time in the right space. Him working through his progressions to be able to find TJ Hawkinson on that deep crosser to help ice the game. He was finding Aaron Jones and knowing when to throw the football on that drive concept on 3rd and 14 in overtime, which was a brilliant play call by Kevin O'Connell because you had all 3 guys in an empty set run verticals. And guess what? All they're doing is setting up to block, and it worked to perfection. He also hit Justin Jefferson on that callback touchdown, which was blown by none other than Brandon Powell. You have to run through when you're doing rub routes. You cannot stop and brace. That is going to be called every single time. It didn't phase Darnold. It didn't phase him when they got down 1st and 20 on that drive in overtime. 2 plays later, they have a first down. It didn't phase him earlier on in that drive in overtime when he gets sacked on first down and they end up getting the first down. He was poised. He was ready. He hurt his ankle in the second half, came back and looked great. Threw for 90 yards on that final drive. And guess what? Darnold earned every single one of them. He was pinpoint accurate. He was making great decisions. He was poised in the pocket. And he was doing everything you needed to see out of a quarterback. Now, it's still a very, very low proposition that Darnold ends up being the guy long term. But that number, that percent, is still non-zero. Darnold was awesome, and nobody's going to give him credit. So you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the one that tells you that Darnold played like a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I'm going to be the one that tells you he outperformed Caleb Williams because nobody else is going to do it because all they care about is this preconceived notion that Caleb Williams is the next Patrick Mahomes without actually seeing what's happening in front of their eyes. Darnold was the best quarterback on the field today. Darnold looks like a bona fide long-term franchise caliber starter in the National Football League, and he continues to prove it week in and week out. There have been warts, but these last 2 weeks, we're now starting to form a trend that Darnold is a guy. And you know what? About time you realize it, because it's not going away. The Vikings just went 3-0 on the road, 3-0. And guess what they're going to do now? They got 3 games at home against the Cardinals, against Kirky boy Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, and then Monday Night Football when the Bears return. You know how much home field advantage is for this Minnesota Vikings team? It's bonkers. They were this close to beating the Lions at home and being undefeated at US Bank Stadium. They are going to be really hard out. They are 9-2, and they still have a realistic shot at the NFC North. Why? Sam Darnold. Put some respect on his name. I'm Tyler Forness with A to Z Sports. Skol Vikings.